In today's homily, I would like for us to put our attention on the 3 sentences that the possessed man speaks. Or to be more precise, that the devil speaks through the possessed man. Only 3 sentences. He says, what have you to do with us? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God. And it's interesting because as we will be able to look briefly at each one of these sentences, we'll be able to have very profound insights on the psychology of temptation and the psychology of the demon. And although the demon is not the center of our lives or the center of the Bible, it is still very important in our spiritual battle to understand his tricks and his snares. First sentence, he says, what have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? You know what's his first attitude? He wants to negotiate. The demon always wants to negotiate with us. He wants us to reconsider God's commandments. And he wants us to reconsider what we know to be true. For example, when he tempts Eve in the garden, doesn't he negotiate with her? Doesn't he tell her, there's a different way to get wisdom. You can get the fruit. So the first attitude is always negotiate. And I think it's important for us to remember that temptation is always to the mind. He's always looking to come into our mind. Second question, or second sentence, he says, have you come to destroy us? The second attitude of the demon, when he sees that we're not negotiating with him, you know what he does next? He threatens. He tells you, I'm going to tempt you, and I'm going to make your life miserable. And it's interesting because we can see this pattern repeated in the life of the saints. When the saints decided not to negotiate with the demon, his next step was threatening and trying to instill fear in our hearts, telling us, I'm going to make your life miserable. You won't be able to stand my temptations or my attacks against you. And last sentence, he says, I know who you are, the Holy One of God. Once the demon sees that we don't negotiate and we're not afraid of his threats, you know what's his last attempt? Flatter you. He says, I know who you are, the Holy of God. And this also happens in the life of the saints. For example, it's interesting to see in the life of a saint who fought a lot with the devil, Saint John Vianney, how the devil also tried to flatter him and to tell him, oh, you're such a great saint. There are no other priests like you. Why does the demon flatter? Because he wants us to lower our guard and to think that we're strong and that we've won the battle. So I want to finish with this. It is very likely that today we will face some sort of temptation, you and me. Some sort of temptation that will attack our mind. So I encourage you and I encourage myself to take the same attitude of Jesus as Jesus takes before temptation. We could see it on this Sunday's Gospel and today again. No dialogue. He just says, be quiet, come out of him. So today, when you experience temptation, don't negotiate. Just say, be quiet, come out of me.